Super Rugby Dream Team for round 11. It is getting dark here earlier. Winter is coming here in New Zealand. It is dark. So I better do this quickly. It's also bin day today. So I've already heard one bin go up the driveway just before I started the video. We will see if that bin has a friend before I'm done. A big weekend of rugby in terms of some of the results. A lot of one-sided games. Crusaders, Highlanders, big wins there. The Hurricanes, so pretty tough. Some of these picks, and even the games that were close, had guys that were really standouts. So perhaps this week more than any other, I feel like there's just so many guys that I couldn't pick. So it is a pretty tough one. I will start with props. Not his first time on here is the Beast Imtawira. He is acting young again, and he seems to have increased his work rate this season. 12 runs for 8 metres. Now, 12 runs makes him the second busiest prop in terms of the amount of times he ran with the ball. The only guy who ran more was Harry Johnson-Holmes, opposing him in that game on the other loose head side. That guy ran 13 times, but remember, Harry Johnson-Holmes is like 22. Beast is 33. So he is putting in a big effort in a World Cup year. He beat one defender, 2 passes and an offload, and also made 13 out of 14 tackles. 13 tackles for a prop who is that age is a very, very good effort. Next, and another guy performing well in a World Cup year from the Highlanders, Tyrell Lomax. In a game that was pretty one-sided, their scrum was absolutely dominant. He was part of that. 2 runs, 8 metres, beat a defender, 1 try, 1 pass, 6 from 6 tackles, and a turnover. Pretty much a props dream performance that he did everything very well and even kept it off with a try. Hooker was a pretty tough one, but I have gone with Augustin Creevy from the Jaguares. Is it Creevy or Creevy? I am not sure. Someone will let me know in the comments. Thank you for that. 13 runs. Speaking of old boys who are putting in a big effort, 13 runs, 19 metres, which is a very good return. 2 defenders beaten, also scored a try from a couple of metres out, had 5 passes, made 8 out of 9 tackles, also managed the turnover. I think he only conceded 1 penalty in this game and 3 out of 4 lineouts, so his lineout 75% is not all that flash, but overall, pretty solid effort from him. Next, I've gone with Cobus Visa. In this game, he also racked up some pretty good numbers for a guy in the second row. 8 runs for 39 metres is a much better return than most guys wearing those low numbers get. 5 defenders beaten is also... like, a lot of locks really struggle with the defenders beat thing. I guess it's partly the body size thing. I don't know, they struggled to get low enough to really get through people, but 5 is a good number. Also a clean break, which was ridiculous seeing him running down the wing. 3 offloads, 5 passes, 12 out of 14 tackles, and a turnover. So just an all-round workhorse into everything performance from Cobus Visa there. And also from the Highlanders, I have gone with Tom Franklin. One of his better performances, I guess, and the Highlanders blue. Another guy who had a fair bit of running meters for a low number. 41 meters he managed from 13 runs. Put that game into a bit of context, the Highlanders were tearing the Sunwolves to bits, so a lot of their guys had good run meter numbers. Also 5 defenders beaten. 4 clean breaks speaks to how dominant the Highlanders were and how poor some of that Sunwolves defense was. For a lock to get 4 clean breaks is just stupid. That's like a lot of wingers don't even get that. How are my other wingers going? Okay, yeah, he's the same as the 3 outside backs I've picked. That's how he was. So 4 clean breaks, also a try, 10 passes, an offload, 6 out of 7 tackles, a turnover, and 3 line-out wins. Into the loose forwards, I have gone with Jean-Luc Dupré from the Sharks. I haven't picked his brother, Dan. I've gone with Jean-Luc, even though Dan's the one who scored the try. I thought Jean-Luc, 10 runs, 55 metres. Again, that's a very, very monstrous effort. He had a lot more than his brother, despite the fact that his brother had a couple more defenders beaten and scored the try. 1 defender beaten, 3 passes, 17 out of 17 tackles. I think Dan had 11. Probably not fair to compare them because Just so happens that they're brothers. I don't compare players every single time, but still 17 out of 17 tackles is pretty solid. A turnover and 2 line-out wins. So he's another guy doing a bit of everything. They kind of were on the outer last year with the Dupree brothers in terms of Springbok selections, but if they keep going with performances like that, no reason why not. Next, from the Jaguares, I have gone with Pablo Matera. This guy, he makes my dream team a lot. He is a very exciting player to watch. 19 runs. 19. He is a big ball carrier for the Jaguares. 44 meters, 2 passes, 8 from 9 tackles, and also managed 2 turnovers. I think the best this week for turnovers was Quacka Smith with 4. Matera's 2 is still very good, but Quacka had not the best tackling stats. I think he missed 4 or 5 tackles out of maybe 12. But otherwise, he was also very big. He did get bumped off at one point, which was a pity for him. But Matera, yeah, man, that guy is always looking for the ball, and he's a pretty dynamic carrier when he gets it. Speaking of dynamic, the last Lucy I've gone for is Adi Savia. He had 6 runs for 39 meters, which is a good meter to run ratio. Again, 5 defenders beaten, 2 clean breaks, also scored a try, 8 passes, 1 offload, 17 out of 18 tackles. That's phenomenal again, and also a turnover in that. He is really leading the way in terms of open sides here in New Zealand. Sam Cane is probably the incumbent. They've kind of swapped places a wee bit, but Cane not playing. Savia is certainly standing up. Again, World Cup year. We will watch that one with interest. Scrum-half, perhaps the hardest choice of all. Virtually every team, I think, had standout performers this week. You could probably name, I haven't written all the other ones down, but a lot of other guys. I looked at a lot of the guys and thought, man, you could have made it this week. Tries, try assists, all kinds of goodness. But I have gone with, from the Jaguares, I've gone with Thomas Kubeli. He really ran the show. 5 runs for 60 meters. Again, a good return for a guy in 9. Beat 2 defenders, had 2 clean breaks, 75 passes, so mostly passing, but running, and when he ran, it worked. 7 kicks as well, so good balance. 3 try assists, and one of those was from a kick. So 3 try assists through that one man. How many tries did Jaguares score in that game? They only got 20 points. Was he a key man for every single try? If so, that's phenomenal. 2 out of 2 tackles, so not huge numbers, but not beaten. Yeah, man. The Jaguares have messed around a fair bit with who their number 9 is going to be, but Kubeli is really looking the business at the moment. There's a bin coming. Fly half. I have gone with Josh Ioane from the Highlanders. Again, the Highlanders did run the Sunwolves pretty ragged, and Josh Ioane was part of that. He only ran the ball 6 times, but had 32 meters in there. He beat 4 defenders. He had 2 clean breaks, only 12 passes. Interesting, kind of a lowish number, I suppose. 2 offloads, 5 kicks, so kicking it as well. It's kind of not so much this year, but partly what the Highlanders do. He scored a try. He had a try assist. He had 5 conversions, so 15 points all up for him. He set up another one, so 20 if you consider that try assist as well. I mean, I know they scored 52, but he had a hand in kind of a lot of them. So, good effort from the young man. World Cup spot for him, probably a bridge too far, but he is still very young. And with Banks and Gatland injured, he is getting some prime time in that 10 jersey. Midfield. I have picked a player from a losing team. I've gone with lienert-brown. He was one of the few guys who stood out in that Chiefs performance, which at times was really poor. They had moments. They scored, 19 points? But, man, the Hurricanes looked good. But ALB had 19 runs for 85 meters, which by anyone's standards is good. 8 defenders beaten. That's solid. 2 clean breaks, 7 passes. He continues to be the offload king with 5 offloads, 9 from 9 tackles, and a turnover. So I often go with guys from winning teams because it's kind of the contributions that they made that went through to the win. If you put out a really outstanding performance, sometimes you just can't ignore those guys who were in losing teams as well. So if they're pretty even, sometimes it's whoever was the winner is the difference maker. But for ALB, it's looking pretty good. Speaking of looking pretty good, I have gone with Braden Enor from the Crusaders. Is he my first Crusader? That in itself is ridiculous because the Crusaders had another masterclass performance at home. 10 runs for 116 meters. He was carving things up. He has been talked about a wee bit in that All Blacks conversation for this year. 3 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, a try assist, 7 passes, and 5 out of 6 tackles. Without Goodhue in that lineup, they still didn't look any worse for wear, did the Crusaders. Very, very good. Outside backs, I have gone with Dylan Lades. Is that the correct spelling? I'm not sure. Dylan Lades, I do like him. He is what someone in one of the comments, not on the channel, but one of the articles I read about him, they called him unconventional, and that's probably fair to say. He had 13 runs for 104 meters, which is very good. 5 defenders beaten and 4 clean breaks. So remember, 4 clean breaks is what I said, but Tom Franklin got, and Dylan Lades had 4 of them as well. 8 passes, 2 offloads, and one of those offloads was a very, very thing of beauty try assist. He only had 2 tackles to make. He made 1 of the 2, so I suppose that is the one blemish on his record. And perhaps what's keeping him out of the Springbok conversation as well, because if he's a bit small and perhaps a bit defensively frail, I'll have to have a look at his overall defensive numbers. But he did have a big head clash at one point with Stickling, and he came out back onto the field, his head all taped up despite being covered in blood at one point, so good on him for that. Obviously, I think they followed the head check protocol, so safety first, but he still came out once he was cleared. Geordie Barrett is on here as well. That guy, terrible handwriting, put in perhaps the performance of the year? I don't know. He has got one area that's not that great, but 13 runs, 196 meters, which is more than what some teams get in a game if it's a pretty defensively orientated game. 196 meters, certainly more than what some teams had in 40 minutes of footy this weekend just gone. 10 defenders beaten, so he's in double figures. 4 clean breaks. I guess that's not impressive if Tom Franklin can do it, but for real, that is very good. 2 tries, 6 passes, 3 offloads, 2 try assists. 2 out of 4 tackles is the only blemish. But man, he was proper X Factor in that game. So very good good for him. He gets criticised a wee bit here in New Zealand, but not after performances like that. And lastly, I have gone with Sevu Reece from the Crusaders. Again, not his first time on here. 3rd or 4th time at least. The guy is having a magic year. It's going to be interesting long term to see how he goes, because Ben Lamb had a magic year last year, but it wasn't enough to sustain him into an All Black spot. Sevu Reece doesn't fit that excuse why they didn't pick Lamb last year, which was we've already got enough kind of players of his build and his style. Reece is different from like a Waisaki Naholo style. So he's not a big guy, but he's got a lot of power. 13 runs, 86 meters, 10 defenders beaten again. One of them was that big whack on Quacka Smith. 4 clean breaks, 2 tries, 8 passes, 2 offloads, a try assist, and 3 from 3 tackles, which is better than the other 2 defensive outside backs. So, yeah, that guy is dangerous. I believe he is New Zealand qualified, even though he's originally from Fiji. I think he came over during his high school years. So, yeah, pretty good week. As I said, so competitive. There were so many 9s. Like outside backs, you could easily pick Tavita Lee, Tom Banks, and Cancellieri. I'd be fine. Husson was good. George Bridge was good. You could have Crusaders pretty much everywhere. Kieran Reid had a really good week. Yeah, you could have picked lots of other guys. But hey, this is my 15. As always, do let me know yours. I always read them and am interested in the insights some of you guys show. When you pick them, it's always pretty interesting. But yeah, we'll see how the next week goes. As always, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.